Alright everyone, and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, playing as the Empire of Japan, and, well, we need to expand the Empire. So, China, you're looking like you're looking very submissible right now. So we're gonna have a talk. We're gonna have a real good talk. Anyways, I'm terrible, and I acknowledge it, and I fully do not care. So we are actually on the cusp of war with them anyways, which is perfectly fine by me. That gives me the ability to jump in and get a hold of some of that territory before some other people take it. Also, in the case of the Chikuma, I've actually done a little more research on the Chikuma, and this hull right here basically seems to be the same form factor that the Chikuma had across the board. So we're going to go with this as the Chikuma. Be good to go. And we are, research-wise, we're trying to push to get to Corrupt 2 as soon as possible. We got 5 months on that. Turret mechanisms, what are we looking at? Naval Gun Barrel 2. Okay, so we are still... We do have improved twins, but we don't have advanced twins yet. Okay. I really like advanced twins. And then we're getting anti-flooding 2. Okay. All right, so research-wise, we're looking pretty good. Oh, advanced propeller shaft, that'll be handy. This will help quite a bit. Let's go ahead and turn that on. And then we're looking pretty snazzy across the board. So yeah, let's get prepped to do this thing. So let's actually look at our force disposition real quick. So this should be the... Okay, so this is the Shikishimas. All of the... So the Mikasas are hanging out with the Satsumas right now. And then the Katoris are over here. Honestly speaking, the Mikasas should be hanging out with the... Oh, wait, yeah, that's right. That's right. These bad boys are all the same speed anyways, so... Yeah, we'll just keep them together. Screw it. And then... It makes me wonder, how many ships do we have over here? Yeah, I think our fleet disposition, wow, I can speak, I swear. Our fleet disposition's looking pretty good. Our first 2 battle cruisers are finishing up in Vladivostok. Those bad boys are just going to be prowling for targets. So we'll have a good time with them. The last 2 are finishing up here in a couple months, and then they'll go into commissioning. And then we also need to start working on... I do kind of want to push towards Battlecruiser 2, but also at the same time, I don't know if it's really going to be... Like, I don't know if it's really that important to push towards it. We shall see. We shall see. But we also just need to go ahead and cycle the turn. So, not much history to really talk about in this video. We kind of covered the 8.8 stuff Monday. We covered the 8.8 stuff, and really there's some, like, behind the scenes political stuff that's going on at this time period. There's a lot of back and forth on a few things. And it's mainly just domestic politics within Japan. There's some... Basically, you have 2 opinions at this point in time that are forming within the Japanese political zeitgeist. You know, one is the imperial, expand, take over territory, etc., etc., and then you have the other side, which is kind of more of a, hey, we've put ourselves in a really good position. Let's kind of take it slow. Let's consolidate, so on and so forth. But that faction is also the faction that kind of is pushing, 1902 the Anglo-Japanese Treaty or Anglo-Japanese Alliance. Those guys are mostly the ones responsible for that. You know, the UK and the Japanese are pretty good friends at this point in time. And this is what inevitably would lead Japan into entering the Second World War, as we discussed previously. Now, at this point, the only thing that the Japanese are really doing is they're preparing for war. They're continuously preparing for the next war. And it's actually really funny because they're the one nation that happens to be preparing for the next war in the proper fashion. This is one of the things I'll give the Japanese a lot of credit for. Because generally speaking, nations are always preparing to fight the last war, whereas the Japanese actually are preparing to fight the next war. The Japanese have identified, okay, technology is changing rapidly, especially during this time period. Technology is expanding rapidly. It's changing a lot. We've already seen the advent of some of the largest warships that we've have yet to see, and we're already starting to see aircraft being used. Again, the Russo-Japanese War, aircraft were used for combat purposes. So we're already seeing aircraft launched from ships, these were seaplanes, launched from ships being used in combat. And then when Japan comes into World War One, that's also what ends up going on as well. Now, I'm sorry to the commenter. I keep forgetting your name. Your name's a very random string of shit. I think it's just a pre-gen name. Who made a comment about how it was the Japanese who had the first proper carrier, and that the British they just had a hybrid carrier that was a battle cruiser that they converted to carry aircraft. And okay, congratulations. It's still the first proper warship that has aircraft on it. Yes, it's a hybrid design. There were a lot of hybrid designs before proper carriers were put into play, because one of the things that wasn't really identified early enough, and the Americans, being the autistic son of a bitch as we are, we identified those problems really quick, and that's why we took a collier and converted it. This was the USS Langley. Or Langley? I believe it was the USS Langley. I could be forgetting that, but I'm pretty sure it was the USS Langley. We converted a collier to an aircraft carrier. That was our first, aircraft carrying ship, because we identified, hey, trying to do the whole hybrid design thing is not really that efficient. Now, there were hybrid designs that were experimented with in the US. There were versions or designs that were drawn up and talked about. You can actually go see some of these designs in World of Warships. I'm still shocked that they fucking have them. When I saw that they actually implemented, I believe it's the the USS America. I believe that was one of the designs. It's literally the front half is an Iowa class battleship, and then the back half is a fucking Essex class carrier. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Oh, it's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we did design this. And then, of course, you have the British designs. I forget what those were called. The really weird super battleship battlecruiser designs that they were playing around with. There were just rapidly expanding technologies and ideas throughout this entire era, and the Japanese were the only ones that were preparing for the next war. Now, a lot of people might be in the mind that, okay, well, if they prepared for the next war, why did they lose? And maybe we'll talk about this a little bit in this. Why did the Japanese lose World War II? And it comes down to three things. One, overestimating your capabilities. Two, underestimating your enemy's capabilities. And three, not really taking into account how hard it was going to be fighting in Southeast Asia. So, to kind of show this off, if you're fighting here, this is a lot easier. This is a lot fucking easier because, okay, you've got this, It's a hop and a skip from Kyushu to Korea. It's a hop and a fucking skip. In all actuality, it's not that far. And then you run logistics lines from Korea into China and so on and so forth. You run them up towards Russia, et cetera, et cetera. Much, much simpler than trying to provide logistics to this. Much, much simpler. And one of the things that a lot of people don't truly really take into account is just how difficult this whole affair right here was for both sides, but in particular the Japanese. See, when the U.S. had managed to wrestle control of the Pacific from the Japanese lost the initiative. This was over this little shitter right over here. This little shitter right here. I'm pretty sure that's Midway. That should be Midway. That little son of a bitch right there. When the Japanese lost here, that cemented the issue. That cemented the loss of initiative for the Japanese in the Pacific theater. And across the board, by losing that initiative, it then put them on the defensive. Well, when you're a Navy on the defensive trying to supply this, that's a problem. Now, had the situation been slightly reversed, say they lose 2 aircraft carriers at Midway, it's still kind of a loss, but say we sink 2 of theirs, they sink 1 or 2 of ours, and it's kind of just a deadlock, the Japanese still have the initiative. They still have the ability to move and do things. We have to be worried about coming under fire if we come over here. And one of the main things that can be identified is that because of the focus being lost on attacking, which, let's be honest. Okay, what the hell did the map just do? Let's just be honest for a second. Not taking Pearl Harbor was what cemented the Japanese loss. If the U.S. Navy was forced to operate from the continental U.S. into the Pacific, say we had to go from the U.S. to Hawaii, the whole war centered around Hawaii, this would have been a much, much bigger problem for the U.S. than it would have been for the Japanese. And wow, France. Damn, son. Almost got your entire colonial empire put together. But as it stood in this scenario, or in the actual scenario of the time, after they lost the initiative at Midway, things just went downhill. And it's that loss of initiative that cost them the war. Now, yes, of course, you can kind of cop out. You could talk about, they didn't have the resources available to actually persecute the war and so on and so forth. You can do the whole comping out, and you can talk about it like that. And yeah, you can do that. Me personally, I can't do that on a personal level. I cannot just say, they just didn't have the resources, they just didn't have this, etc. It took the U.S. a solid 12 months before they were even on a war footing. And it took them another, I'd say about 6 months after that, to really get the forces into theater. It wasn't until 1943 that you had the actual push against the Japanese. Similar to how in the case of Europe, it wouldn't be until 1944 until D-Day happened, simply because they weren't ready. Same thing with 1943. 1943 was the bare minimum before the U.S. was ready to actually push. Now, yes, there were minor pushes before that, of course. Everybody can acknowledge that. Congratulations. I'm saying the big pushing. the big landing forces on islands and, you know, fucking fighting over every goddamn fucking island like it's a goddamn fucking, like it's a goddamn war in and of itself. And mind you, that was the big thing, is like, there was a long time where the US fighting in this region was sitting there thinking like, oh my God, are we actually going to be able to fucking do this? There was a lot of people for the first 2 years of the war in the United States who were like, oh crap, like this is real. Like this is real. And mind you, the stomach for war had kind of been lost at this point in time across the world. World War I had really done a number on people. I actually want to play a game called The Great War Western Front. I actually want to play that to kind of show it off to you guys. Now, mind you, my strategies are pretty freaking mint, and so I don't usually sustain that many casualties other than on the assault, where it's like, okay, yeah, my guys are out in the open, and the artillery suppression runs out at the last second before they get into the trench. But yeah, a lot of people had lost a lot of patience for war in the last hurrah against between the Allies and the Central Powers in World War One, and as such, World War Two, there was a lot, like France, for example. The reason why France surrendered the way it did, now mind you, France didn't just surrender. You know, this is kind of the whole mythology behind World War One or World War Two France. So what actually happened with France is that, so you have the Maginot Line right here through Lorraine. And then Luxembourg and Belgium were supposed to build another section of the Maginot Line here. Now, unfortunately, in the case of the Netherlands, you really can't build you really can't do it. Like, there's no real way to do it in this territory here. But that's just geography, just being a douche, basically. But Belgium and Luxembourg were supposed to pay for this part of the line. The French pay for this part of the line. The Maginot Line held. It's actually really funny. Most people, they're like, oh, it was such a stupid idea. No, it wasn't. If it was such a stupid idea, why did the Germans not attack it? And mind you, the Maginot Line could shoot both ways. It wasn't a one-way defense. It could shoot to the rear as well in case of being surrounded. The fortifications could support each other in the case of attacks from both sides. Most of them, at least. Most of them. And there's a reason why the Germans did not attack these fortifications in this region, because they were like, oh God, we're going to lose so many fucking people. And the thing to understand is that the Belgians and Luxembourg were the reason why the defense fell, because they did not build their portion of the line. And so when the British troops arrive, they occupy along the French-Belgian border, or as the Flemish Wallonian border. Sorry, Belgium, I do not acknowledge your existence. You're Netherlands light. They occupy positions that are not prepared, and as such, the Germans, when they hit them in 1940 or 1939, 1940, 1939. I want to say it was 39. I don't remember when fucking Poland got fucking invaded. Or when France got exactly invaded. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Like, and actually, this is a comment I just made this morning, just replying to somebody. I have so much information that I've noticed this. I have so much information that I'm cycling out of my head because I'm starting to consume new information that's much more relevant to my current self. All the dates, except for like notable dates that are like super important, all these historical dates are They're gone. I can't fucking remember them. It's really sad. It's really stupid, but that's how our brains work. We get rid of the information that we really don't fucking need. But the point is when the British are hit, they're overwhelmed. They don't have the ability. First off, the morale is low as shit. The ability for them to resist is absolute ass because they're on unprepared ground. And they're getting smashed into by some of the best soldiers in the continent at this time. The Germans had had time to prepare. They had had time to organize, and they weren't here for a long time. They were here for a good time. Like they were like, well, let's fuck around and let's see if we find out. Yeah, eventually they did, but they definitely they fucked some people up. Let's say that. All right, so real quick, let's go ahead and work on the Kawachi. So 22,000 ton design due to issues. We're gonna max her out because she has a lot of guns. She has a fucking lot of guns. She has so many guns. Is she gonna kind of look stupid? Yeah. But she's my kind of stupid. Oh man, there's just so much firepower on this thing. So yes, we can't exactly design her the way that we would like to design her, but it's just something we're gonna have to put up with. We're just gonna have to kind of go along with it. Hold on. Kawachi. Hold on, I gotta... 3. She had one slightly further ahead of the other two, like that. That's kind of honestly the arrangement of those smokestacks. Now, in the case of the guns, of course, I immediately identify, hey, there's literally nothing I can really do to make this look better. Like, unfortunately, it's just not possible. The game is a little restrictive, let's say that. Alright, so we gotta go with the Kawachi. She's running at 21 knots with a range. That can't be right. Hold on. Kawachi, I know for a fact you're not running that slow. Oh my god, she was short range. Holy... What? Why was she so short range? Oh, wait, what? I thought the Kawachi... Hold on, I might have... Oh, she... Oh, what am I thinking of? Oh, am I getting... I'm getting the Kawachi... Am I getting the Kawachi and the Satsuma backwards? Yes. Oh, that's... Oh, no, I almost messed up. Whoopsie. Okay, we fixed it. Ladies and gentlemen. I almost messed that up. I'm glad I looked. Alright, and then in the case of... Okay, so she is actually very short range for some ungodknown reason. But honestly speaking, we probably aren't going to have to put too much on her. Fuel-wise anyways, to get decent range. Like, we might actually be able to go minimal fuel, and she's just like, hi, I don't care. Alright, and armor deck 12.5.5. Now, I heard some of the stuff I was reading about the Kawachi specifically was that the area above the engines was around the 1.8 to 2 inch mark. Didn't get any really thicker than that, and then the fore and aft decks, tapered off at about 1.2, 1.3 inches. So we're just gonna go something like this for armor. She didn't really have that armored of a deck, like not at all. But that's also seems to be a theme of ships of this era, is that their decks are like, it's that weird era where to get proper elevation to fire with the older guns, you would have to you would get amazing levels of plunging fire, but they basically acted like mortars. And then with these guns, they didn't have incredible amounts of range that you could get the incredible arcs, because they were too heavy to get the elevation. So what you have is this weird situation where you can't get enough elevation to get proper plunging fire with this era's guns, but the rounds are flying so flat and so fast that they are doing incredible damage, and so the belts tended to be very heavily armored of this era. And then the decks start getting really thick after this era, because then the lighter, heavier guns allow for better elevation, which allows for longer range and all that. And all of a sudden you're like, oh shit. Now those things are coming down like orbital fuck yous. So we're gonna match that energy and be like, okay, we'll go something like that, and we'll go with 2-inch superstructure just to help it out. Inner belt. Ooh, yeah, that's looking good. That's looking good, y'all. All right, and then go something like that. Okay, so that's the main guns. That's all the other stuff. And then, so the secondary battery is technically a mixture of 6-inch and 4.7-inch and 3-inch guns. In this case, we're going to go the 6-inchers, and we're also going to go 3-inchers. Just to make it a little easier on us. While I would like to have some 4.7s, like on the deck and stuff, with this design, I really can't do it. It's one of those annoyances. And then we will go ahead and we'll leave the fucking armor maxed out on these bad boys. Oh yeah, and we also need to increase the length of these, which in reality 26.5, that's pretty damn close to the 30-kilometer range. Once you start getting to 30 kilometers, that's when you're elevate, like if you have the proper elevation and everything, you're just plunging fire all day and night. It's like, ooh, that's less than friendly. Okay, so yeah, looking good. Looking very snazzy, sir. And then even if we went down to minimal fuel, we still have 10,000. But we go up one notch and we almost have 13,000 kilometer range. Like, if we were to go maxed out range, 20,000 kilometers. That's ridiculous. This thing could literally just be like, I'm going to the U.S. Why are you going to the U.S., Kawachi? None of your business. Oh, it's so good. So good. All right, and so okay, so that's the Chikuma, that's the Kawachi. What else do we have in this era? We don't get the Koba, the Momi. Yeah, those are both. Yeah, the Koba and the Momi are both World War One designs. Koba is 1915, the Momi is 1918. We get the Isokaze and the Minakaze, which this is the distinct difference between what's referred to as third class, second class, and first class destroyers. So basically, the Koba and the Momi are both second class destroyer designs that are meant for like convoy escort and shit like that. Whereas something like Isokaze or the Minakaze are both like, these are the heavier, faster ships meant to get out there and fuck shit up. It's kind of the way to look at it. So we are going to start working on building these bad boys because I want boat. I want boats and hoes. So we have the Kawachi, and I forget the name. I believe it's the Aki, if I remember correctly, was the Kawachi's sister ship. And then we will go ahead and put this bad boy. Well, actually, so the Katoris and the Satsumas have the same gun arrangement. They should be together. In the case of the Shikishimas and the Mikasas, these are now going to get relegated to second class status at this point in time. But honestly speaking, I don't know if I want to. Should I keep them? I guess I should. It's kind of like, it's one of those things where you're like, should I? Should I not? I'm going to. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to form up a reserve fleet, and this will be I think these two are my next biggest ports. Yeah. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to send the Mikasa and the Akagi north to here. And then we are going to send Chokai and the Shikishima there as well. And then we're going to set up. So the Katoris will be out of Yokosuka. The Maizura will have the Satsumas, and the Sasebo will have the Kawachis. So that's how we'll set those up. All right, cool. Now, you might be annoyed. I know. Hey, the Kawachi wasn't that heavy. I did that on purpose because I needed enough real estate for the fucking guns. Now, I should have shrank it a little bit, to be honest. But we're just gonna leave it. I don't want to redo the design. It's literally just a case of like I got the Satsuma and the Kawachi mixed up, and I was like, oh crap, I am gonna need a shit ton of real estate for this one, and then realized, no, actually I didn't. But it is what it is. We'll go with it. We'll be happy. Okay, I'm not gonna do that to you. Fucking TikTok videos. I hate TikTok videos so much. I fucking despise them. Okay, so then the Chikumas, I believe there were 4 or 5 of the Chikumas. Hold on, let me find them. 4. So we need 4 of the Chikumas. And these are our newest generation of light cruiser. Again, these are... we're going to get to the point where, you know, all of our heavy cruisers are of a legacy design. We do not produce another heavy cruiser until 1922. Throughout this period, it's the time period of the light cruisers where you have the Chikuma in 1911, you have the Tenryu in 1917, the Kuma in 1918, the Nagara in 1920, the Sendai and the Yubari in 1922. And then you pick up with some heavy cruiser design. And mind you, you don't get the Agano class until 1937 anyways. So, you know, we're looking at a pretty decently long development process across the board for our cruiser design. So let's go ahead and take a look. You know what? Let's actually cycle out. So let's go ahead and cycle out the Chiodas at this point. Yeah, we're gonna cycle these bad boys out. We're gonna do the thing. We're gonna go ahead and scrap the Chiodas, and then we're going to transfer the Sumas to accompany these the second class fleets. So let's go ahead and scrap these. Then how many of these do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 total. You know what? Wait, am I... Just send all of these to South Hokkaido. I wish you could just do this. You didn't have to do this one by one. They really need to change that. It's like, let me do large movements like this. All right, and then, so we have the Kasagi's in Yokosuka, the Natakas. We're going to recall the Natakas from Hong Kong. They are going to join up with the fleet here in Maizura. And then the Chikumas will be in Sasebo with the Kawachis. So we'll go like that. Just so we're a little more uniform across the board. And then the Sumas and the Shikishimas and the Mikasos, they will again just be our second hand fleet, you know, at this point in time. And then in the case of the Harabusas, we're actually down to quite a few less Harabusas. These guys are in Wakanai. Where's Wakanai again? Okay, they're in North Hokkaido. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's good. Do we not have any forces stationed up here? We do not. Interesting. Okay. This last surviving Harabusas, I think I'm going to go ahead and transfer. You know what? Actually, yeah. Let's go ahead and do this. So these last two, they're going to get transferred up to Waioe. We're gonna do some fleet maintenance. So these guys can get transferred up to Waioe. And then we've got got these guys here. I'm going to transfer a few of the Ikazuchi up to Maginot. So we'll take 2 from here. We'll take 1 from here. So we'll transfer a few of them up to here just to help patrol that. Just to put some tonnage in those waters so our ships aren't getting freely harassed. All right, and I think that's about it for displacement and where we're sending the fleets and how we're setting everything up. Come on, game. You can do it. I believe in you. Holy shit! 12, 3, 5, 2, 5, 3. Oh, the British Empire. Oh, God. Oh, God, what is happening right now? Who's at war with who? So, basically, China's at war with everybody. Spain's at war with everybody. Hey, China. Let me get in on this. let me get in on the money making. I'm gonna take some territory. I'm just gonna go for it. Even though we're missing a third of our fleet, basically, with the Kawachis and the Takumas, we can bring down the reserve fleet and use that to supplement our invasion. So that's fine. Which it's a decent number of ships. Like 4 battleships, 8 light cruisers. Like that's a decent number. It's decent tonnage. It can help really supplement an invasion. What we'll probably end up doing is targeting Tsingtao first. So we'll target Tsingtao and then we'll move into northeast China directly. Eastern China is going to be a pain to take just because of how big these ports are. Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah. Tianjin is not nearly as big as Haichao or Shanghai or Hangzhou. So, not nearly as scary. All right, and we really... See, I should really start doing refits on these ships. Should really start doing refits. We're actually gonna go ahead and do that. We'll do some refits, and we'll make sure that these guys are a little up to date. Upgrades. make them a little less disastrous, and also from my perspective, just absolutely hilarious. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna throw all this like hyperly advanced tech on this battleship that hasn't been like actually used in forever. Hey, if it can still sling shells, it can do shore bombardment. All right, and then inner belt, we'll go 4 on that bad boy. Then let's crank up the length of the guns on this. Really make sure that these are good and long range boys. It's funny too because like this thing is firing at 26.5 kilometers for no reason. There's no good reason. And 18,000. Oh my god. There's no reason this thing should be doing this. It's hilarious. And the only reason why we're doing it is because we already have the tonnage in the water. Now, I also do need to inform you guys, I will not be abiding by, I was planning on doing it, but I will not be abiding by the the fucking the stupidity. I will not be abiding by the stupidity of the Washington Naval Treaty in this game. There's just no point in doing so. Like, I've talked to a couple other people who have attempted to kind of emulate this kind of series, and across the board, everybody just agrees. Like, yeah, no, it's kind of pointless. It's kind of just annoying. There's no real good basis for it, and so everybody is just like, nah. And so I'm like, okay, well, I appreciate the information, and I will use it wisely. Meaning, yeah, fuck that shit. Fuck that noise. And it's actually really funny because the ships are coming out lighter, so it's like, oh hey, I can give all the amenities, all of them. And then, oh my god, we have so many older hulls that we have to do. And no, we will not be changing the armaments or anything. We're just doing basic tech upgrades. Basically, we're just updating the ships so that they're more usable. Also, I have, after talking with a few people, it's actually really important that we, when we get to a certain point, we start using base fuses, because nose fuses, because, like, on larger shells, it's fine. On larger shells, it's fine to use the nose fuse, because the size of the shell just overwhelms the armor anyways. But due to certain brackets of shells, like the 12-inch shell, once you get to like crop, I think it's like crop 3 or 4, the nose shell is completely worthless on 12-inch guns, and you have to use bigger guns in order to use nose shells. Whereas if you put the base fuse, it's actually able to still get those penetrations, and sometimes it actually penetrates way better. And thus, big booms. We all like big boom. Big boom is fun. Technically I should probably do soft cap on this. Should I? You know, I'll do soft cap on these bad boys. Just give them a little extra oomph. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. Japan gets nice 6-8. Oh, they get the nice mounts. These are like the best gun mounts to have, because it doesn't take up a lot of room, and you're able to put them in really nice mountings, really nice positions and whatnot. Oh, I love these mountings. These are my favorite mountings to use. So it's really nice to see them. I forgot Japan got these mountings in tier 2 and above. Alright, the Osama. It's really annoying that the Osama is literally the only light cruiser or heavy cruiser that we have right now. Ooh, we don't have Mark II guns yet on this. Okay, we're not going to do any updates to the Asama until we get Mark II guns. Like, there's just no point. I'm not gonna spend the time on it. How far off are we from Mark II guns? That's the question. And then we have 3 more designs that I want to for sure do. Yeah, these 3. Hold on, let me check this. How far off are we? Oh, we're still way off. Okay, we're going to focus that. We're going to focus that. All right, and I want to get these last 3, and then we will start doing the upgrades, yeah. All right. The Ikazuchis. I wish there was a better arrangement I could do for 4 smokestacks. Like, unfortunately, and this is the problem, is that there are no small destroyer hulls, and the destroyer hulls are where you get the better smokestacks on, and it's kind of like, crap, kind of sucks. Now, what is nice about these torpedo boats, because they are torpedo boat destroyers, they get minesweeping equipment. So, actually, the longer I can keep them, the more benefit I get out of them. I actually get a lot of benefit out of these guys. Because it's like, oh, hey, you guys can just sweep for mines anyways. Cool. And we'll get the Suma real quick. The Suma, this is going to be a huge improvement for the Suma with the new 6-inch guns. It's going to be a massive improvement. Yeah. She just looks better with those new guns. She just looks better. We'll give her all the upgrades. Because reason. I don't need a good reason to show love to my ships. Very nice. And that gives us some distinct longevity out of 1920s start rolling around. A lot of these ships, they're going to start falling by the wayside. Some of them are going to stay around. Like, for example, the Nataka, the... basically, the Kasagi, the Nataka, and the Chikuma will be around for a while. But, like... the Sumas, they're going to be gotten rid of by the end of the World War I era. And so we're slowly going to get rid of some of these hulls. Like the Chiyodas, they were earliest ships that earliest cruisers that we made. They're gone. They're done. Getting rid of them was definitely the right move. The Sumas, they still have some life in them. They still have a little bit of life in them. So, we can go ahead and delete this. We can delete this. Delete this. We can delete this. We cannot delete this yet. We cannot delete that. Delete this. Delete this. Delete this. All right. And then the Nataka, when we go to do the... well, I guess we could do a refit of the Nataka. Guess we could do refits of these guys. Like the Katoris, we don't have to worry about. You know what? Yeah, we'll do a refit of the Nataka and the Kamikaze. So we'll do this real quick. Dun, 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 dun. And then the Kamikazes. We can then refit these bad boys. All right, looking good. And it really makes you wonder with the weight savings on the Krupp 2. It really makes you wonder like what the metrics are in the game, like versus analogous forms in real life, because it's like at this point in time, in order to get the, and I wish there was some like dev controls that I knew about because I just don't know. But it would be nice to see if like in the case of Krupp armor in the 1890s, if the Krupp armor that you're supposed to have in order to achieve the weights that are talked about historically, if those weights are based off of the Krupp, what would be Krupp 5 in this game, it really makes me wonder. Like, it really makes me wonder. All right, so we have this stuff ready to refit. Let's go ahead and start getting these refits going just to, again, this is really just meant to provide a little more longevity out of this stuff. We will eventually be scrapping a lot of it. But from my point of view, personally, by having this stuff available just to kind of throw at the enemy, and also be able to, you know, just kind of stick it to the Chinese. It's just fun to bully the Chinese. All right, let's see. Ah, yes, there we go. We are at war. We are at war with the dreaded mainlanders. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and call this episode here. Next episode, we're going to have some fun with the Chinese. Might end up finishing them off. We'll see. Anyways, guys, I love you. And have a good bye.